everybody, welcome back to another episode of Bullish or Bearish. I'm Angela Chu from Success Options Group, and I'm here again with my brother Tony, and we have another really interesting topic for you this week.
Welcome back, everybody. I know we've been off for a couple of weeks here, but what we're going to talk about is one of the things that's been in the news is about the whole idea about FTX, right? So FTX, for people that know, is a cryptocurrency central exchange. And so let me first state that it's not good when people lose money, right? It's not good when people get, in a sense, scammed or that, their funds are frozen, right? But I will say that this whole event with FTX is actually a good thing for cryptocurrency because it just kind of demonstrates how bad the idea of centralized exchanges for cryptocurrencies are, right? So the thing is, the first starting point we'll say is cryptocurrency exchanges are not banks, right? So they're not supposed to have fractional reserves. They're not supposed to be able to use clients' funds in that sense. And this just proves it that that's a bad business model for the future for cryptocurrencies, is to be centralized.
Okay. The thing is that centralizing it like that actually makes it easier for people who kind of like the stock market exchange. That's like a centralized place, right? It makes it easier for people to go through things, look at all the different offerings that there are, and make decisions and choose what they want. So in a sense, it's a good thing that, it's like kind of like, while FTX itself, it failed, not good, don't invest, kind of like your money got frozen if you did do anything with it. The idea itself, that centralization does make it easier for people who want to kind of go in and look at all the things that are possible out there without having to look at every single one individually at all these different companies,
Yeah, but so this is probably one of the biggest debates that comes with centralized versus decentralized. And there's this famous saying in crypto, not your keys, not your crypto. And that's the whole idea behind it. When you're doing a centralized, although they make it easier, and now you can use your credit card to buy it. You can use fiat money to buy crypto, right? That's what the Coinbase and Binance and FTX kind of help you do. The downside of that is now they're holding it in custody for you, right? So you're just, in a sense, trusting that they're holding those reserves of the coins that you've deposited in to your account. And this goes against the whole idea about crypto, is where not your keys, not your coin, right? And I guess what I would say, that the phrase I would use here is that the beauty of the blockchain is that you see the transactions. So now that people are able to dig and it's publicly available information, and they saw hey, wait, these guys are cheating, right? They're not holding in reserve all of their crypto. And that means they're there's more story behind FTX, and we're not going to get into that this time, but basically they were using client funds in order to do trading to make more money.
So that goes back to what we were talking, what I was saying earlier. While the idea is good, the actual implementation of FTX was terrible. So while you're saying that decentralization is better, and I'm saying that, if it is possible to do centralization in a way that is more, that is not taking advantage of people, not scamming people, not freezing their funds, if there is a way to actually do it so that it is more regulated and more in a sense, kind of like the stock market, where it makes it easier for people to actually people who don't know a lot about coins or crypto and all this stuff, it's daunting, to have to go and try to figure out each single coin and figure out well, do I want to invest in this coin? Do I want to invest in that coin? What's the difference? And then this one has this method, that one has that method, and I can only use this wallet for this. There are so many individual decisions that it can get overwhelming for somebody who's new to it. So in a sense, these centralized exchange, if they can get it to work correctly, is a good place for beginners. Though I have to admit that the FTX specific thing was actually not very beginner friendly.
Yeah, so I'm glad you fell into my trap, because now you mentioned regulation, right? And that's inevitably what's going to happen out of this, is that the government's going to come in and they want to regulate it and put rules. And the thing that people don't realize is this is not that unique of a situation. So everybody knows about your bank account, and there's regulations, and there's the FDIC. So you're insured for $100,000, right? So that, basically if the bank goes kablooey, right, you're going to be guaranteed 100,000. But what's if you have more than 100,000, right? And that's this whole idea, is like the whole idea why these regulations came across, because banks were doing shady stuff, right? And like you have all these examples of Enron and financial institutions, Lehman Brothers, all this stuff in 2008. So this is not a unique situation to like financial industries, right? So crypto, banking, like insurance, they all can become Ponzi schemes where people's money gets in and they don't keep enough to handle all the reserves. And this really gets at what I'm trying to say, is like, you want to make sure, and we've talked about this in prior videos, you want ownership, right? I want to own whatever I have. So whether it's NFTs, whether it's my crypto coins or whatever, even with stocks, right? I want it to be in my name. And this gets at the whole idea about decentralized, is that if you don't own it, then you don't really have it. If it's not in your name and you don't have control over it, then you're kind of at the whims of whoever you're trusting with custody.
So that actually goes back to what we talk about a lot in all of our workshops and like, classes and stuff, is that it's not a good idea to just blindly trust, and you really do need to know like what's right for you, because like what you were saying, like about having your stocks in your name. I mean, like a lot of the like stock trading platforms, I mean, everything is in your name. They just help you facilitate, So maybe something like when you say centralization, decentralization, maybe something more appropriate would be something like that, where it just helps you facilitate, So, I honestly just kind of like go with this whole like FTX and crypto thing. What I felt about it was just like, holy crap, their money got frozen. Like it was a new company, and customer support wasn't very good. So I mean, this is an individual entity that like totally crashed and screwed up, But that doesn't necessarily mean that the entire idea, that there's not something there that could be improved upon, that could be used for future to make things easier, to make things better.
Yeah, and I think where I would come at is this opens up the whole realms of other possible topics for us in the future, right? Because what we've all become accustomed to is a little bit less ownership than we all think. So like when we talk about like you have your brokerage account, you realize if you dig deep enough that you actually don't own, they have an IOU to you, right? You say you buy shares, they owe IOU shares. Unless you actually buy it directly from the company, you're not directly registered. So it's not necessarily in your name. So the liability is only so far. And this is, I mean, the same thing with like, if you decide you want precious metals, and we've had videos on this, like you want to be gold, right? You buy gold stock. Well, does the company actually hold gold in their in their reserves, right? Is it actually physically there, or are they just like playing games with contracts and futures? So I mean, that opens up this whole wide of other topics. If you want to see these kind of things, make sure you put some comments or anything like that, and we'll create some content for you. I don't know. Go ahead, Angela. Any thoughts?
Well, I was just gonna say, I mean, it'd be great, like if people want to like let us know what they'd like us to like kind of argue about and discuss, like give you pros and cons about, definitely let us know, and hit the like, hit the subscribe, and we'll see you next time.